All right, kids, here we go. We're talking about different types of ways to draw different molecules. All right, especially when we're drawing them with so many carbons and so many hydrogens and things like that. Sometimes it gets a little lengthy. So normally when we draw things, let's say we draw pentane. Let's use our example. There's pentane. Pentane is 5 carbons. Okay, because remember pent means 5. Pent is 5. The ANE means single bonds between your carbons. Carbon wants to bond 4 times. So normally what we would draw is we draw all these hydrogens. And it takes a lot of time, especially when I'm talking to you about it, and it just gets long and drawn out. So there's got to be an easier way, and there is an easier way. So that would be the structural drawing. Lots of times you'll refer to the structural drawing. But you can do something that's even simpler, a line drawing. And a line drawing simply looks like this. You just draw the bonds between the carbons, and you assume the hydrogens. So this structural drawing would be represented like this in a line drawing. The ends of each line are carbons with this maximum number of hydrogens attached to it. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons, and you assume that you already know how many hydrogens there are. All right? So these are the same. One's simpler, one's easier, so on and so forth. So hopefully it all works out. Let's try a couple other ones to see if you get the hang of it. Let's try 2 bromo butane. Okay, 2 bromobutane. Well, first start at the back and say butane, that means 4, and the ane means single bond, so it means I have, for my structural drawing, it'll look like this. And then I says 2 bromo. Remember, the numbers tell you location, so on the second carbon I have a bromine. And it can be on top or bottom, it doesn't really matter. And there's my bromine, and then we have to fill in our hydrogens for our structural drawings. Alright, so it looks something like that. Now if I were to do the line drawing, like we just did in the previous one, I just draw the bonds between the carbons. So I'd have 1, 2, 3 bonds between the carbons. 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons. Remember, the end of each line is a carbon. Then the second one, and you can put it on top or bottom, I have a bromine. So you got to write everything but the hydrogens and carbons. Alright, so there's my BR. There's 2 bromobutane in structural. There it is in the line drawing. Alright, carbons here, carbons here, carbons here, carbons here, with the maximum amount of hydrogens attached to it. What about if we did something like, let's say, 2 fluoro, 1 butene. All right, just made that one up. Hopefully it works. So 2 fluoro, 1 butene. So you look at this and look at the end one. The but, okay, tells you how many carbons you have. So I have 4 carbons. 1, 2, 3, 4. The ENE tells you have a double bond, and this number tells you the location of the double bond. Well, it's on the first one. So that means I have a double bond on the first bond. There's my there's my 1 butene, and then on the second one I have a fluorine. 2 fluoro. Can be on top or bottom, doesn't matter. Alright, and then I go around and say this carbon needs 2 more to bond to, this one's full, this one needs 2 more, this one needs 3 more. So my structural drawing would look something like this. Then if I did a line drawing, remember, just representing the bonds between the carbons, it would look something like this. 1, 2, 3, double bond, we just put 2 lines. And then here is my fluorine. There's my line drawing. So this is long versus shorthand. Okay. So a couple things to remember in this. The end of the lines, each end represent a carbon with hydrogens. And if it's not a carbon or hydrogen, you have to write it in, like a bromine, a fluorine, so on and so forth. All right. So knowing the prefixes, knowing the names, and knowing the suffixes will help you immensely. So make sure you look at, what anes are and what enes are and what ines are. They'll be very, very helpful. So I hope this video helped. Let me know if you have any further questions.